surprising lineup of respected figures openly backed Jake Paul even before he faced Anthony Joshua in the ring. At first glance, their endorsements might seem like simple clickbait. The Gypsy King supporting a social media star, a legendary promoter predicting an upset, or a renowned MMA athlete suggesting the underdog could land a decisive punch. However, when you actually pay attention to their reasoning, there's a method behind these seemingly contrarian opinions. They reflect faith in a powerful punch, acknowledgement of a non-traditional fighter's rapid improvement, and the understanding that, especially in heavyweight boxing, a single clean hit can change everything: careers, odds, and legacies alike. Tyson Fury's prediction stood out the most, both in volume and in media attention. He didn't hedge or joke around. He openly said he'd back Jake Paul, even claiming he'd wager £1 million and asserting with certainty that Paul could hit Joshua's chin. Fury's words landed like a bombshell because he's not just a talker, he's a former world champion whose opinions carry weight. By suggesting Joshua might be past his peak while Paul was on the rise, Fury was doing two things at once: questioning Joshua's current form and giving Paul instant credibility simply through endorsement. Fans of heavyweight boxing heard Fury and instantly re-evaluated the fight's possibilities. In this sport, confidence and belief often matter just as much as statistics or fight records, and a heavyweight of Fury's stature publicly backing an upset can shift the entire narrative.
Talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look.
Oscar de la Hoya brought a unique perspective to the conversation. As a promoter with a fighter's instincts and decades of in-ring experience, he took to social media to make a bold prediction: a Jake Paul knockout. For de la Hoya, this wasn't just clickbait. It reflected his recognition that Paul's rise isn't only about publicity stunts, it's also about tangible progress in his fights. When someone who has built careers and evaluated fighters for decades claims the underdog could win by KO, it's based on real signs: legitimate power, improved timing, and the confidence to land that one decisive punch. His prediction reads like the judgment of someone who has studied enough footage to see that what seems unlikely can actually happen. Even fighters outside of boxing were making similar assessments. Demetrius Johnson, former UFC flyweight champion known for world-class timing and fight IQ, pointed out that Paul could potentially land a short, unexpected punch that has historically troubled Joshua. Johnson framed his insight technically, noting Joshua's vulnerability to short overhand rights and analyzing how Paul's unconventional angles could exploit that. This wasn't hype. It was a calculated observation from someone who studies how one fighter's quirks can capitalize on another's past weaknesses. Insights like this influence conversations among trainers and fighters because they treat the upset as a realistic scenario, not just noise. Rolando Romero approached it differently. His reasoning leaned less on technicalities and more on narrative. He highlighted Paul's momentum, charisma, and ability to generate high-profile opportunities, arguing that those elements create an intangible advantage. In Romero's view, Paul's presence in the fight reflects self-belief, a type of story-driven confidence that can influence judges, crowds, and even the fighter's own performance. It's not a measurable statistic, but in today's spectacle-driven combat sports, narrative can subtly shift outcomes. Romero's endorsement combined bravado with cultural insight. In a world where showmanship matters, Paul's persona becomes part of his strategy. Not every supporter needed a boxing background. Nate Diaz, the UFC veteran known for his streetwise persona and combat credibility, publicly bet on Paul. While a $20,000 wager isn't an official prediction, it signals that the upset is plausible enough to stake money on. Public bets from recognizable figures like Diaz act as social proof, prompting fans to reassess the odds. Betting functions as a cultural indicator rather than a guarantee, and Diaz's action raised awareness of Paul's potential to win. Other voices focused on technical possibilities rather than outright predictions. Pauli Malignaggi, former pro and respected analyst, outlined specific ways Paul could make the fight competitive. He discussed using movement, clinch tactics, and smart infighting to counter Joshua's size and create openings for a decisive punch. Analyses like this matter because they turn the idea of a Paul victory from fantasy into a structured plan that could theoretically be executed in the gym. When experts provide this kind of roadmap, the underdog's chances become more than hype. They become a tactical consideration.
With AJ, the way he handled Francis Ngannou, who I think was also a bit of a sideshow fight, but was much more dangerous than Jake Paul. And you saw the way AJ took that very seriously and got rid of his opponent very, very quickly and in a destructive fashion. I see something similar here in this situation. But, you know, these are discussion points, talking points.
Then there were the smaller, yet still significant, endorsements from fighters who know firsthand what it's like to face danger in the ring and come out on top. Andy Ruiz Jr., who famously defeated Anthony Joshua in 2019, offered Paul practical guidance and encouragement, publicly urging him not to be intimidated. Ruiz's perspective carries weight because he has actually accomplished what Paul aims to do. His confidence is grounded in experience. He understands the angles Joshua struggles with and saw openings that a determined challenger could exploit. When a former victor provides both tactical advice and belief, it's a meaningful vote of confidence. What connects all these endorsements is not blind faith but recurring, thoughtful reasoning. Paul has shown measurable improvement. Heavyweight bouts are inherently unpredictable. Joshua has historically been vulnerable to unusual short punches. And factors like celebrity backing or narrative momentum can subtly influence the fight environment. These aren't baseless claims, they are observations drawn from fight history, patterns, and the modern dynamics of combat sports. Tyson Fury's £1 million bet may have grabbed headlines, but his commentary on Joshua being past his peak reflected careful consideration of career trajectories. Demetrius Johnson's analysis of short overhand rights referenced concrete historical events in Joshua's past fights. Oscar de la Hoya's prediction combined technical insight with decades of promotional intuition. Romero and Diaz emphasized psychological and cultural dynamics, highlighting how confidence, momentum, and public perception can influence a fighter's performance and crowd reactions. Each voice mattered for a distinct reason. Fury influenced the conversation and betting markets because of his heavyweight stature. De La Hoya's perspective mattered because he understands how underdogs can become real threats when attention shifts in their favor. Johnson's technical assessment carried weight due to his elite combat experience. Ruiz's advice mattered because he lived the scenario. Romero and Diaz contributed street-level grit and belief that can often fuel upsets. Malignaggi offered tactical insights that effectively served as a playbook. Together, these endorsements form a network of reasoned arguments, showing that Paul's chances weren't merely hype, they were supported by multiple, credible, cross-validated scenarios.
What is your prediction, Jake?
Probably the 6th or 7th round knockout.
And that's it.
I'm fucking him up, Burial! I'm fucking him up!
Of course, the betting odds and most boxing purists still favored Joshua. But the voices backing Jake Paul transformed the fight from a predictable outcome into a genuinely compelling event. Their credibility made the possibility of an upset feel real, injecting drama and anticipation. In that way, these predictions served their true purpose. They shifted the conversation, influenced market sentiment, and added layers of context for fans and bettors alike. Suddenly, the fight wasn't just about stats or past records, it became about momentum, career trajectory, and the ever-present potential for a single punch to change everything. That wraps up today's discussion. Stay tuned for more insights.